car 14 from right here in Stafford Springs, the American sleeve-bearing car for Cliff Saunders.
2023, my nephew Jason got a street stock. He started racing. It got me and Al back working on a race car and going back to the track. And just being back at the track kind of brought the interest back for us to do it. And we got talking to Bob Phil about, first working on our old cars. We felt like the best decision was going to be to start the year off with new cars. That would give us the best chance to be competitive. I didn't really have too many big goals, just wanted to kind of get a feel for racing again.
The Saunders brothers made their return in the late models, and what a start. Cliff finished 4th after starting 13th.
I definitely didn't expect it. After being gone for 2 years, I thought it was going to take half a season or so just to get back used to driving the car and get competitive again. But the car was good right from the start of the season. Was really comfortable with the setup and was able to start the season with 5 top 5s in my first 5 races. I think the key was working with Bob Phil. He built a really good car, has a really good setup. He comes over after every practice, every time on track, sees if we need anything, need any adjustments. He'll give us suggestions on what we should change. That helps out a lot without having to try to learn it all on our own.
She's loosened up now. Off the turn. Corey does a great job of avoiding, and car number 14 becomes another factor involved. Car number 14 is Cliff Saunders. He's setting in the 4th position.
Every lap I run, I just try to do the best I can. Every race, just try to do the best I can. I really don't get too frustrated with stuff that happens during a race. Whatever it is, I just try to do the best I can from there and just try to more think about the performance of the car, performance of myself, how I drove, things like that. So the actual result isn't as important as the performance of the car. So I think I just try to do the best I can each lap, each race, and just see what happens in the end. Mid-season, we kind of struggled a little bit, mostly with tires, just picking out the right tires, getting them sized correctly. Had a couple sets there in the middle of the year that just didn't size up the way I wanted, and I'd have to compensate on tire pressures to get the stagger right, and just kind of, the car wasn't as good for a few weeks, but once I got a set of tires that I sized up better, the car went right back to what it was at the start of the season.
Off turn number 4, Cliff Saunders became tonight's winner of round number 1 for the late model division.
That was definitely huge getting the win. I hadn't won a race since 2019, and that was my biggest goal coming into the year, was to be able to win again. Because I had some good runs earlier in the season, but just couldn't finish the race out or just wouldn't get the finish that I felt like I needed. So for it to kind of work out, or finally work out, it felt really good. Felt like the second half wasn't really as good as the start of the year, but I did get a win in the second half of the year, so it all ended up being pretty good. Pretty much the whole season was positive. Getting a win, having a lot of top 5s, so it was better than I had run for the last few years. It felt really good to kind of be back and be competitive again, because a few years there weren't a whole lot of fun, not being very competitive, struggling with the car, so I feel like it was a really good way to come back to racing. I want to thank my sponsor, American Sleeve Bearing. I also want to thank Bob Phil and BFR Chassis for building the car and doing the setup. Rad Auto Machine, Williams Race Gears, PRVL, my whole team, Al, Jason, Claire, my spotter Harold, Randy, Frank, Nate, Bert Olet, Sean Patlock, Ashton Young, and Wesley Prucker. Plan will be back in the late models again. Me and Al, Jason will be in the street stock again. Hopefully we could have another good year and go for some wins.